fall far from the tree. It's very true with Angel Reese's mom. Now, I don't like to go after people's parents unless they become a story of the sport. In this case, she's part of it.
When Caitlin Clark ruined TV ratings like a backboard by herself, and no, it wasn't a foul call. Angel Reese's mother lost it. This was Mama Ree's full-court social media push, not a kind greeting. Is it sportsmanship or just pettiness disguised as sportsmanship? Hold on tight, for your daughter's rival becomes the ratings queen. It is the first time we have ever examined this courtroom drama.
This news will probably leave Angel Reese's mom in shambles at this point. Of course, she's up.
Angel Reese's mother was not amused by Caitlin Clark's dominance on the Nielsen charts. In other words, she used Olympic-level mental gymnastics to justify her daughter's obvious dominance as the universe's most popular television personality, as though she were seeking retribution for every after her name was misspelled on a cup. Reports state that Angel Reese's mother, wearing a crown made of LSU clothing and holding a tote bag that read, "My daughter is better than yours," wanted whoever was in charge of broadcast sports and possibly the galaxy itself.
Had almost 15,000 people in that arena, basically sold out at Carver. And she tweeted this.
Oh, that certain fan base looking in the stands celebrating attendance, while others are looking up in the rafters celebrating championships, banners. We ain't the same. Different year, same haters. Have a great day. Well, aren't you the same hater of Caitlin Clark, living off her coattails?
I find this highly unnecessary. It sounds like hateration to me. And this is what I mean by insecurities.
Because it's obvious that the only reason Reese's preseason game got little attention was due to the Illuminati's complex plot against the Baton Rouge monarchy. America, on the other hand, simply ignored it. They all blinked, shrugged, and uttered the words, "Wait, who is LSU playing again?" and immediately returned to by the time Reese's mother turned to social media like she was leading a revolution. The entire neighborhood had already departed to watch Caitlin Clark make three-pointers from a distance. Watching Caitlin Clark make defenders reevaluate their life decisions in real time was like comparing a firecracker to the Super Bowl fireworks finale. To be honest, NASA ought to take some measures.
She made a couple of comments a couple of days ago about people literally covering statistical data involving attendance. That's a problem. That's hate. We aren't the same. Okay, I don't know.
As a marketing stunt, we are giving out prizes for participation. For the preseason alone, Angel Reese would have required a second trophy case. If ESPN had, her mother may still have seen her warm-up exercises on a Times Square jumbotron. After Caitlin Clark airballed her fourth consecutive jumper, she was accused of interfering with the lighting, which led to delusions and the "how dare you not worship my daughter" accusations. You know which one we're talking about here.
Angel Reese's mom or anything Angel Reese related? Absolutely not. Why don't you just mind your own business and continue playing basketball and support your daughter? Right? That's what you're supposed to do as a mother. Support your daughter and hope she does well in this league, right? Because you don't hear Caitlin Clark going after her, why is she at the Met Gala? It's really unnecessary and very petty of her, especially a grown-ass woman. But now I realize why Angel Reese the way she is. Because it's her mom.
The preseason game stated earlier was so awful that even the popcorn vendors were dozing off in between quarters. The only people there were the players' families, a few devoted friends, and one very perplexed individual who believed he had wandered into the G League. Its energy was so low that you could have balanced a "How can America not treat it" as the Beyoncé Renaissance Tour, the Oscars, and the Super Bowl, combined into one event. Don't tell Angel Reese's mother about your TikTok challenge with a water bottle on the court.
This was a pre-season WNBA game. Do you understand what I mean? A pre-season WNBA game. By the way, why the hell is the Paige Beckers and Angel Reese ratings from Ion Network Friday? Why are they
Disappointing ratings don't exist in Reese's world, where everyone applauds when you make a mistake and every missed layup is somehow part of the plan. When the data revealed that it looked like a replay of Antique Roadshow, which attracted more viewers, Reese's mother put on her symbolic cape and got to work repairing the damage. For instance, real queens don't need ratings to prove their worth, which is adorable if you ignore them, uses cryptic tweets, Instagram stories, and passive-aggressive statements. Don't worry, while she was busy redefining Angel Reese's mother had suspicions. Oh boy, did she have theories. Caitlin Clark shone at every performance, as if she were trying out for Game of Thrones. Instead of playing basketball, she is utilizing magic. The only things missing are a wand and a sorting hat. No, it was obviously a ploy, given how captivating, skilled, and occasionally defying the laws of physics Clark is. It's likely that the cameras were fuzzy when Reese was performing and that no one was watching her.
Pettiness, this insecurity, this bravado, this inflated ego. It stems from the mom, man. It was so unnecessary to dig. Like, okay, you're still living off of college. The national title is literally 2 years ago with LSU. We're going on year 3 in a couple months. Why are you still living off that? How about you tell your daughter to work on her jump shot, stop missing layups? She missed a layup in the last preseason game.
Apps. The streaming website had a secret algorithm that operated around the clock to block the stream. Or perhaps Mercury was in retrograde, Venus was avoiding Mars, and LSU's uniforms weren't tuned into the chakra frequencies needed to attract national viewers. Something cosmically evil had to be at work. People's viewing habits couldn't be the reason. It would be too reasonable, too dull, and too painful. Maybe the moon was in a passive-aggressive mood when it chose to interfere with the Wi-Fi signal. It's like expecting your nephew's lemonade business to do better than Starbucks because he used organic lemons. Or being upset because his garage band didn't sell as well as Taylor Swift's stadium tour at their first basement show. Take a moment to appreciate the pure, unadulterated hilarity of someone having a full-blown Stage 5 breakdown over preseason numbers, not the playoffs, not the championship.
Did not see. Right here. The Fever Brazil game came to 1.3 million viewers. 1.3 million viewers to an exhibition game. Not even a preseason game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. They came to an exhibition game. Or say they came to watch an exhibition game. That was a 60-point game, and Caitlin Clark checked out at the end of the third quarter. And it averaged 1.3 million viewers, which is absolutely crazy.
Worst part, though, comes next. The plot wasn't tight or even competitive. It was Clark's show, and everyone else was just obliging extras, trying to figure out why their camera time was cut. Instead of using a low-key strategy to win the ratings war, Clark burned the battlefield, dropped a microphone on the smoldering ruins, and, like a medieval warlord with a Sharpie, scribbled her initials in the ashes, turning the entire scene into a TikTok highlight video. Try altering the script. The humorous part of watching someone stick to a story while the scoreboard shows a totally different reality requires more than astrology and conspiracy theories. Angel, This Is Just the Beginning came shortly thereafter. This is a biased system that was planned by Clark's PR staff, ESPN, and possibly aliens. It was a kind of art.
Angel Reese's mom or anything Angel Reese related? Absolutely not. Why don't you just mind your own business and continue playing basketball and support your daughter, right? That's what you're supposed to do as a mother. Support your daughter and hope she does well in this league, right? Because you don't hear Caitlin Clark going after her, going, why is she at the Met Gala? You know? It's really unnecessary and very petty of her, especially a grown-ass woman. But now I realize why Angel Reese the way she is. Because it's her mom. This pettiness, this insecurity, this bravado, this inflated ego. It stems from the...
While the rest of us were too preoccupied to notice Clark emerge from the logo as if she harbored resentment toward the Nets. The buzz in the Reese camp was muted. A candle and a mason jar were muted. And LSU's preseason was a masterclass in how to create all the hype in the world and then completely sabotage the actual game. But she remained steadfast, even going so far as to double down when the ratings came in like shopping receipts. Appearance and performance. Although we are aware that preseason isn't meant to be a fireworks display, Reese's preseason felt more like a required workplace fire drill, whereas Clark's was more like a 4th of July battle. Of course, it wasn't exciting, but it could have been. Even if Reese is a player, Many begin to wonder why the scoreboard seems like it belongs in a student crash league. Every dribble is portrayed by her marketing machine as a momentous achievement, and every look is presented as an inspirational TED presentation.
Clark is really back, and so is that CC motion. Look, I know I've said before I don't want to talk about repeats, and this topic isn't really brand new, but it feels fresh in a sense because we finally saw Caitlyn.
Her fans aren't supporting her. They simply don't anticipate seeing another press release about her altering the game, while it appears to be remarkably unaltered, followed by the unavoidable contrast. Clark versus... Even if it's actually a cottage industry these days, the gap is more of an echoing abyss than a rivalry. Caitlin Clark, Angel, is making headlines by physically changing broadcast schedules and selling out arenas. Because of her mother's online tirade, Reese is trending on Twitter. Let's consider the big picture. The first scene of an Avengers film was reminiscent of Caitlin Clark's preseason game. Reese's The preseason game resembled a neighborhood yard sale. The other featured folding seats, food left over, and an overall feeling of so that's it. One had electricity on the anxiety scale. However, you most likely saw a grainy picture of Angel in a power posture with a rather menacing statement of encouragement if you looked at your phone that day. This phrase might have been something like stars don't shine for approval, they just shine. Ignoring the fact that other people were pointing their remote controls at a different channel is a wonderful attitude.
Just won what I thought was a pretty easy game against the Atlanta Dream, but I want to focus on Caitlin Clark because I think she's gotten 10 times better over the offseason. The number one thing I like about Caitlin Clark in these first two preseason games is that she's been very efficient. In the first game, she was 6 for 10, second game 5 for 11. She could have got some more shots up, but the shots she did get up, she made the majority of them.
Let's revisit those television figures. Clark has dominated Reese's ratings rather than merely surpassing them. She grabbed the ceiling and gave it to Angel Ree with a small note that read, "Maybe next time." Clark didn't shatter it. The irony of it all is that Clark doesn't seem to require a hype machine. She plays games that people watch, can drain impossible shots that publish, and doesn't seem to need to send cryptic tweets. On the other hand, the number of people who watch Reese's game is similar to the attendance at a middle school spelling bee on Friday nights. Aunt's cousin's dog trainer is protecting her position in the game, but Reese has a fanbase louder than a college marching band demanding attention for, well, mostly just vibes at this point. Not to basketball, but to turn a botched preseason broadcast into a full-fledged persecution story that demands the creativity and resourcefulness of a mother who should be hosting a conspiracy podcast called Why My Daughter Is Better Than Yours and You're Just Envious. You almost have to respect the dedication.
Caitlin Clark's literally just playing basketball. Like, I love Caitlin Clark so much. The number one reason is because she's literally being herself and pissing the world off. She isn't doing anything wrong. She's not saying controversial things. She's not out there shaking her booty on IG. She's not trying to get all attention or anything off of non-basketball things. This is strictly...
Let's take a moment to recognize Reese's own lack of response throughout this whole ratings disaster. Then, as if she'd seen the numbers and blinked twice, she retreated into the same media silence that follows a bad haircut. Let mom handle it and let the stand spin it because, let's face it, sometimes someone else might be the moment. It's the sports equivalent of being overshadowed by a professional opera singer at karaoke night. Asserting that Angel Reese isn't the object of all the charges and that the microphone is racist but the genuine deal. That wouldn't fit the story, would it? Using only motivational memes and an unlimited data plan, Reese's mother is using social media to fight reality. On the other hand, Clark's supporters are overly preoccupied with acknowledging real victories, real crowd sizes, and basketball that they cannot understand.
Preseason games generally aren't like a big thing in most seasons, but I don't know, this is like the Showtime fever. Like, this is crazy stuff. I mean, even in the first preseason game that Caitlin Clark was out in, the Indiana Fever and the Mystics, like, the Mystics went hard. The Brazilian national team, they went hard. But listen, the Brazilian national team...
Even though Clark controls the court and the TV schedule, Angel Reese is out there hoping that her mother's shouting into the algorithm will somehow make people care in retrospect. You should give credit where credit is due, but it won't. Spoiler alert. The most amusing aspect of it all is that there are no prizes or titles, just practice matches. Perhaps she ought to have dressed for combat. Clark is already dominating not just on the court but also in the hearts and minds of Americans, and no amount of irate posts from mom will change that. Is more than simply buzz.